In this next set of videos, we're going to discuss display lists, and there's actually 3 videos, 1, 2, and 3. In video 1, you're going to look at display lists, the sprite class, a special instance case of the movie class, and you're going to look at addChild. In video 2, you're going to look at removeChild, and in video 3, working with display objects by index and by name. So let's get started. Let's start by going over the notes for part A. We'll start by defining what a display list is. A display list is a visual display of objects that are inside of a display container. So there's 2 types of display objects. This is very important. Display object container and a display object. So what's a display object container? A display object container can contain other display objects and display object containers. That means display objects can nest. And a display object is simple like the end of the road. Their shape, video, bitmaps, and etc. You can't contain anything else in them, so they're objects in themselves. So what you do is you can place display objects in display object containers using the addChild method. And the movie clip is an example of a display object container, and also the sprite class, which we'll look at next time. So let's bring up a little graphic here and tell you what we mean. So this was built in Flash, and we'll just show you a few things. So on the left side we have display object containers, and on the right side we have display objects. So I could actually come along here and take another display object container, see that, and put inside a display object container. And I could put a display object container inside of that. So essentially a movie clip within a movie clip. And if you're familiar with Flash, that's nothing new to you. Or you can come along here, and you can put a display object inside of a display object container. There you go. But you cannot put a display object inside of a display object. Once again, that's the end of the road. There's no array to list display objects in a display object. Basically, display list is an array that lists all the items in a display container. So there you have it. It's that simple. So if you get confused about that, just remember this little graphic we did here. And you can arrange these any way you want to. There you go. And there's your display object containers, and you can put a display object inside those containers. And such things as display objects, as we said again, are videos and bitmaps, and basically in-the-road items that you can't put things inside of. Let's go back. So that's essentially part A. So let's go to part B. We're going to look at the sprite class. It's used a lot in Papervision. We often extend the sprite class to put things inside of it. So like the movie class, it is a display object container. But it's lighter than the movie clip. It doesn't have the timeline and a few of the other elements. So, like the movie class, but does not have a timeline, and it's less processor intensive, and that's why you want to use it, because essentially the movie clip carries a lot more baggage with it, with that display, with that timeline, and the sprite class doesn't. And we're going to do a little example here. So let's do an example. We're going to write a little bit of code to create a circle, and we're going to instantiate that onto the stage, and then we're going to add that circle to the stage using addChild. Let's do that right now. So one of the things we did in a previous video was create a basically animation in 19 lines of code. Let's look at that real quick. There it is, our little spinning ball oscillating in and out of the Z plane. So let's go ahead and take this same ball, which we actually drew programmatically, and draw it using addChild. So let's take a look at the code real quick. And the first part of this code right here, we can see we actually import the sprite class, and then we actually create the ball using new sprite, and we add the ball. Basically we draw it using begin draw, draw circle, and fill, and then add the ball using addChild. We're going to actually get rid of this piece of code and instantiate the ball from the library, and let me show you how to do that right now. So the first thing that I've done is I've commented out the code that actually draws the ball and puts it on the stage. And I'm going to go right to the stage and actually just physically draw a ball. So let's do that right now. So here's our stage, and we're going to come over here and I'm going to show you the drawing tools. And I'm just going to draw a ball. Draw a little oval. And I can put a fill on that if I want to, so let's come along here and actually find a fill for that. So let's come along here and open that up and find a little fill there, and let's draw a nice little ball. There we go. We got a nice looking ball. That's pretty good, better than the last one we had. And we'll get rid of the one we drew previously. And now I'm just going to turn this into a movie clip. Make sure you have it selected, and go to Modify, and go Convert Symbol, and we'll turn it into a movie clip. and we'll just call it ball. Okay. And one thing I can do now is actually export this for ActionScript. And you can see right now it says export as movie clip. I'm actually going to change this, and I'm going to export it as a sprite. Let's take a look at the notes real quick here, and go flash.display.sprite. So let's go back, and flash.display.sprite. Okay, so it's basically doesn't have the timeline on it, but it has all the other stuff that a movie clip would have. So hit OK. And it says, hey, let's make a definition of it. Okay, we'll do that. And now I should have this in the library. So I can actually get rid of this. So delete that, but let's go take a look at the library and see if it's there. And there in the library, let me pull that out real quick. There's my ball, and if I right click on that and take a look at the properties, you can see it's a ball and it's being exported as a sprite, so that's okay. And now I can instantiate to the stage and use that instead of actually drawing one, and actually a little prettier because I got a little bit of gradient on it. So let's go back to the actions and let's write the code for that. So here's the code right here. And the most important part is right here. Is that cool? What I'm doing is I'm just basically calling that ball from the library and instantiating it as my ball. And then I just add it to the stage called my ball. So there's no drawing here. It's all a symbol I'm pulling from the library. But let me tell you, this is extremely important, and it's something that's done in Papervsion over and over and over again. So definitely study this again and learn this technique. Very simple. Create a symbol, exported it as a sprite, instantiate it to the stage, and added it to the stage using addChild. So let's go ahead and run it and see if it works. Control test movie. And there it does, indeed. And now I have a nice little shade on that ball as well, or a radial gradient. So that was pretty easy to do. And later in the book, we actually do this with stars. And we show you how to bring stars to the stage just by putting them in your library and instantiating them in a very similar way. Okay, let's go to the next topic.